Uh, all right, let me go and maximize this window. Let me go and search for Google. I'm going to say Firebug for Firefox. Okay, yeah, you can see the first link. I'm going to click on it. This is just an add-on team, so I will say add to Firefox. That's it. Alright, now it has been installed. Now you can see team, there is a bug like icon, you can see that is a Firebug. So now I am going to open it. Let me go and click on it. Yep. So here is the Firebug. Okay. So this is the Firebug from which I can go and identify the location of the elements. How can I go and identify the location team? See, I do have an arrow icon over there. I need to go and click on it, point to the particular location. Let us say I want to go and identify the first name location. So I am going to point to that and I am going to click on it. You can see the ID is u_0_1. Okay team, you can also see the name over there. Name is first name over here. Okay, so all these identifications are being displayed. Okay, all these identifications are being displayed, and it is not mandatory that for each and every element there should be an ID, there should be a name, there should be a CSS selector or DOM or XPath or whatever it is. Okay team, the only thing is that if we know at least one identification, we can easily go and track that element. That's it team. Okay, it is not mandatory to have all the identifications. Okay, what are the identifications that we looked into it so far? So all these identifications are not mandatory. Say for some elements you can find only 2 identifications. For some elements you can find the 3 or 4 identifications team. So you don't have to worry about it. So basically identifications are nothing but to identify or to look into that particular locator or to work with that particular element team. Okay, fine, let us go and see how we are going to work with the Selenium IDE. So far we worked on facebook.com application team and we have captured the locations, right team? So let me go and open the Selenium IDE. If you go and see this Selenium IDE team, what happens? What is the locator of this ID is equals to email? What is this ID is equals to email team? This is nothing but the location of a email edit box. So let me go and identify the email edit box locator. You can see ID is equals to email, right team, over here. That is what it is going to show you in the Selenium IDE. Similarly the password as well, ID is equals to password. You can see ID is nothing but, for the password edit box, ID is nothing but the password. So by default if we have ID, then we go with ID. If we don't have ID, we go with some other locators, right? Either name or XPath or whatever it is. So let me go and automate team. I am going to run this now. Let me go and put it in a slow mode and I am going to run this. Play current test. We can also see the log files team over here. Now you can see it is going to rerun. See, it is going to enter the data over there into that facebook.com application automatically. See, I am not going to perform anything over there. Is the tool, Selenium IDE tool is going to do it automatically. This is what we call it as an automation testing. Clear team? Fine. So we are done with this Selenium IDE, like we have run successfully and you can see test case has been passed over there. And team, do remember in the real-time scenarios we are not going to work with the Selenium IDE. Basically we will be working with the frameworks. Okay, we will be working with the frameworks. We are no more working with Selenium IDE as well as in Selenium RC. But it's just for your knowledge that we are going to train you on Selenium IDE as well as in Selenium RC team. But in the real-time scenarios we are not going to use it as well. Fine. So let us go and see the next concepts. Commands in Selenium IDE. So what are the commands in Selenium IDE team? Selenium is a combination of 3 different commands. These commands also we call it as silence commands. Okay, so these commands we call it as a silence commands. So this may be an interview point of question team. They will be asking you what are silence commands. In that case you need to say actions, accessions and accessors. What is this actions, what is this accessions and what is this accessors? Let us go and see. Actions over here are, we are using action commands to perform business operations in Selenium IDE. Yes, in Selenium IDE, in order to perform business operation commands, we are going to use these commands called as actions. Okay, so what are the different types of action commands that we do have? Type, click, select, check, uncheck, open, close, open window, go back, and all this. So if you go and look into the Selenium IDE team, all these commands that I can see, that is, open, type, click, okay, select, all these are called actions. Okay, then let us go and see what are assertions. What are assertions team? We are using assertions commands to perform the validations in Selenium IDE. So basically, if we want to go and perform some of the validations over their team, I need to go with the assertions. So what are validations team? Let us say I want to verify the text is available over there. I want to verify the element is available over there, or else I want to go and verify the edit box or the text box is, or the button is available, or the link is available in the application. So these are something called as assertions. I mean, these are something called as validations. So how we are going to validate this team? By using assertion commands. So under assertions, we do have three different types of commands. What are they? Verify, assert, and wait for. What is this verify command does? What is this assert command does? And what is this wait for command does? Let us go and see team. So over here, if I go and see into Selenium IDE, let us go with the same example team. Okay, since we have already automated, let us go with it. Now I'm going to insert a new command over here. That's fine. Now in order to validate the verify command, so let us say I want to go and verify whether this create an account text is available there in the application or not. Okay team, in the facebook.com application, I want to verify whether create an account text is available there or not. So what I can do team, I'll go and open my Selenium IDE, point it to here. I'm going to hit on the record button team. So do remember, when we are going to use verify, assert, or wait for command, always make sure that your Selenium IDE tool is in the recorded mode. So let me go and click on recording. Now let me go and capture the text, create an account, right click on it, go to show all commands, and you can say verify text. Okay team, you are going to say verify text. Now go back to Selenium. You can see verify CSS is equals to span create an account, right team? Now let me go and remove this. I'm going to stop this, and then let me go and run this again team. Now here is my validation command, right? Here is my validation command wherein I am going to verify the text is available there in the application or not. I'm going to run it now. Let's go and see team. Now team, when it runs successfully, you can see the background color of each and every line has been changed to green color, light green color. Okay team, see everything is fine. Let me go and close this browse Firebug. Yeah, see everything is fine. Let me go ahead and rerun it again so that it will be pretty much clear for you as well. Yep, now it has been reloaded the page. It's going to enter the values. Okay, now it's going to enter the first name, then the surname, then mobile and the password, then it's going to select the date, month and a year, and it's going to check the checkbox as well, also the radio button. Fine, so the validation is done over here as well, right team? Now if you go and see, when we are working with the validations, the background color of all the validation commands will be in a darker green color. Why? Because that line says that there we have used some of the validation over there. Let us say in my Facebook application I can find create an account. Now I am going to change the text. Let me say this is, I will type Selenium over here in this value. Now let me go and run it team. What is that is going to say? Do we have Selenium text over there in this facebook.com application team? Obviously no, right? Now let us go and see how we are going to work with it. I'm going to run it. Let's go and see what happens. See verify text, you can see actual value create an account did not match Selenium, right? And it is leaving me a line, a red color background over there saying this step has been failed. You can see in the failure results as well that you have failed one of the test case failed. So what is a test case team? When one test step has been failed, the entire test case is said to be failed, right team? That we already know, since we do have some of the knowledge of manual testing concepts, right team? Now If you go and see team over here, this is something called as validation command. So what happens in verify, when I go and use verify command over there, what happens? If the text is available, it will run successfully. If the text is not available, it will say that is a defect, and then it is going to move into the next step and it will go and execute the next step, right team? That is what the advantage of this verify command. Now let us go and look into the next command. What is the next command team? The very next command that we are going to look into is the assert, right? Let us go and see how we are going to work with the assert command. Now let me go and insert a new command over there. I am going to click on the recording mode. Fine. Now let me go and capture the text. Right click on it, go to show all as verify text. You can see verify text, but I don't want to go into verify text. We are done with it. Let us go with the assert text command. Okay, assert text CSS is equals to span create an account, right? Now let me go and open it. I'm going to remove this line as well. All right, now let us go and run this code. Okay, let me go and run this code. Let's go and see what happens. See, there it goes. It's going to enter values. Also it's going to perform the assert validation command as well, right team? Now here what we're gonna do, let us go and change this create an account to Selenium again for assert command, and let us go and see what happens. Okay team, in verify text, when I go and use, okay, when I go and use Selenium, it's gonna say that this step has been failed and it will go and execute all the rest of the steps, right team? That is what happens when I go and use verify command. Now when I go and use assert command, what happens? Let us go and see. Now here I am going to change the value of this assert command. I will say Selenium. Okay, all right. Now let me go and run it again. Fine. Now here it is going to enter the values, but is it going to execute all the test steps? Obviously no. Why team? When I go and use assert command, if the test step has been failed, it is going to stop the script execution there itself. It will go and stop the script execution there itself team. All right. So but when you compare with the assert command with the verify command, when verify command fails, it will go and say that this step is failed, and it will go and it will go and continue executing the next lines, right? When it comes to assert command team, what happens over here? It will go and fail if the test step has been failed, it will go and stop the script execution there itself. Fine. Let us go and see the next validation command, that is wait for. What is this wait for command says? In wait for command, let me go and insert a new command team, new line. All right, I'm going to click on record button. Now I am going to right click on it, show all commands, show all available commands. Then I will go to wait for text create an account. So I am going to select that. Fine. Let me go back to my Selenium IDE tool team, and over here I am going to remove this line. Fine. So here I do have wait for text. What is this wait for text does team? Obviously it will go and hold the script execution temporarily for some time, and then it will go and run. If it is not identifying any text over there, then it will hold the script execution temporarily. Let us go and see team. So we already know, can we go and run the script team? Will it come to wait for text? Obviously no. Why? Because we have used an assert command wherein it is going to stop our script execution there itself. So let us go and change the value over there. I am going to copy this value, I am going to change it over here. Fine team. Now let us go and run it. I am going to stop my recording mode. Now I am going to run it. All right, you can see team is going to enter the values over there. It's going to enter the first name, then surname. See, the verify text command has been failed, assert command is passed because we have placed the right text, and also the wait command has been passed as well, right? All right team, now my script execution has run successfully. Let us go and change the value at the wait for text command. Over here, let me go and put Selenium, and now let us go and run it team. So what happens over here? Verify text is done, assert text is done. Now wait for text At wait for text, it is going to hold for some time. Okay team, it is going to hold for some time, but how many seconds or how many minutes, how many hours is gonna wait, that I'll let you know team. See, it is still waiting for the script execution, right? It's still waiting. Now it has continued executing. You can see it is going to enter the values now. This is something called as an automation testing. That is, we are not going to perform anything. The tool is going to take the support. We are going to take the support of the tool, and tool is going to perform testing. Now over here, wait for text. How much time does this wait for text is going to hold? By default, it will hold for 30 seconds. Okay team. So how can you go and configure this? Let us go to options. Go to options again. You can see 30,000 milliseconds, in the sense it will be 30 seconds. You can see over here team. Okay, if you want to change this default time, you can easily go ahead and change the default time. But why we require this wait for text? Basically, let us say for example, you want to enter some values over there in one of the application, but still your page is loading. So in that time, see, whatever the script you have executed, whatever the script you have run is fine. There is no mistakes in it, but still you are going to get some error messages. Why? Because the page is loading at that time. The page is not fully loaded and your elements are not displayed over there. So that may be the reason that you have to go and hold the script execution temporarily for some time, and then you can easily go ahead and execute the scripts. So how to hold the script execution? This is what the wait for text is going to be used over there team. So wait command is going to be used to hold the script execution. It is holding the script to load the page, and then for some time, that is for the default time, that is 30 seconds, and then if within this 30 seconds, if the element is not identified, if the text is not identified, it will go and execute the next line. Now when you compare these three commands team, you can see verify text and wait for text are similar. In what happens in verify text, it will not hold for some time. Say it will go and look for the text, that is Selenium in my facebook.com application. Say if it is not available, it will go and execute the next line of code, right team? When it comes to wait for text, in wait for text, what it will do, it will go and look for the Selenium text in the facebook.com application, and if the text is not identified, it will hold for some default time, and then it will go and execute the next line of code. Now when coming to assert command, what happens team? Basically in assert command, if I go and look for Selenium text, since it is not available in my facebook.com application team, what happens? It will go and stop the script there itself. It will not go and execute the next line of code, right team? That is what we are going to work with, the assert commands, assertion commands. Fine, let us go and see the next concept, that is accessors. So what are accessors team? We are using this command to perform the validations. Again, accessors are also going to be used to validate the application team. So how we are going to perform the validations? Let us go and see team. See, we do have different commands to go and store the values over there team. So in accessors, we are basically going to store the outputs into some variables. So over here we are going to create some variables and we are going to work with it. Now let us go and see. Let us go and see different commands, that is store text present, store element not present, store text not present. So these are the commands which are helpful for us to go and validate the application. Let us go and see in our example, in a previous example as well. So here is my application, that is facebook.com application, and here is my command team. Let me go and validate it. Let me go and create a new line over here, insert new line. Let me keep the tool in the recorded mode and let me go and identify. So what is that we are going to identify team? Let us say store text present. We'll go with the store text present team. Okay, I want to go and identify the text. So I am going to select this, right click on it, go to show all commands, and then I will say store text. Okay team, I'm going to say store text, and then when I say store text, it will ask me to enter the variable name. Let us say I'm going to enter the variable name as variable, that is var. Okay, and I'm going to click on OK. Fine, and I'm going to stop the script recording. Now when I go and look into the script team in the Selenium IDE, I can easily go and see store text. Okay, store text, and then I can see the variable. Now where is the value, team? How can I go and get the value? Let us go and see, team. If I want to go and run, if I run it, is it going to get me the value? Obviously no. Let me go and run it, team, and see what happens. Let me clear the log. You can find all this. You can find the results over there in the log file, team, basically. Okay, fine. You can see it's going to store the text in that variable. What is the variable? It is var. But before going to store the value, why it has been stopped? Because if you go and look into the above command, it is waiting for the Selenium text to be displayed over there in the application, right, team? So it will hold for 30 seconds. If it is not available, obviously it will throw the error message. See, timed out for 30,000 seconds, 30,000 milliseconds, and then it will go and store the text over there in that particular variable, and then it's gonna run the script execution. Now how can I go and look into the value which has been stored over there in this var? I have stored a variable value. Okay, I have stored a value over there in this variable. That the variable name is nothing but var. Now how can I go and look into it, team? In order to look into that value, I have a command called as echo. Okay, team? So echo is the command. Oh, I need to say echo, and then over here I am going to say dollar, open the flower brace and close the flower brace. In between this flower braces, you need to provide the variable value. What is the variable name? It is var, which I have created, right, team? If you go and see, this is the value, this is the variable value. What I am going to do in this locator, I have some text. I am going to capture the text. I am going to store this into this variable. Now how can I go and read the value? How can I go and read that value which has been stored over there? By using the echo command, right, team? Now if I go and see, the very last command is the echo command, so that it will go and display me the text as well. Let me go and rerun it again, team. Let us go and see. Before that, let me remove this log. I am going to clear the log. Okay, now let me go and run it. There it goes. You can see it's going to wait for some time, then it will go and look into the text, and it will go and capture the text and store it over there into the variable named as var. Yep. So with the help of this echo command, what I am going to supposed to do over here, team, I am going to read the value of this variable which has been stored over there. What is the value it has been stored? I can see, you can see Facebook helps you connect and share with people in your life, right, team? So with this echo command, I can go and read the value. So this is how we are going to work with the accessors as well. Clear, team? Fine. So the very next concept that we are going to look into is the configuration of Selenium RC with Eclipse. Okay, so before going to configure Selenium, working with our Selenium RC, let me go and talk about the Selenium. Let me go and talk about the basic concepts of Java. Okay, all right. So now, team, let us go and see into how we are going to work with some of the core Java concepts. So let me go and introduce some of the core Java concepts, because these are the basic stuff which we have to go and learn, because the training itself is related to Selenium with core Java, Selenium with Java, right, team? Now let us go and see some of the basic concepts of core Java. Basics of Java. Java was developed by Sun Microsystems in the year 1991, and Java is the second language which we can use for programming or to develop online applications, online games, and mobile apps, etc. Okay, team? So this is the background of the Java. Now let us go and see some of the features of Java. Secured language. The very first feature of Java is the secured language. Secured language in the sense we can go and hide whatever the data we have required to go and hide, or whatever the data we have to go and hide it over there in order to show, we don't want to go and show it to the user. In such cases, we can go and hide the data as well. Okay, then platform independent. What do you mean by platform independent? Let us say I have designed my code over there and I am going to execute the code and it went successfully in an operating system, say the OS is Windows XP. Now I would like to go and take this code, I will go and put it over there in Mac operating system, and then if I go and try to execute, obviously it will run successfully. So there it is platform independent, it is not platform dependent. That is something called as platform independent. Then the very next feature is it supports OOPS concepts. OOPS stands for object oriented programming structure. So we are going to look into this OOPS concepts as well, team. So these are the basic features of code of Java. Okay, and coming to the OOPS, we do have encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, and all this. I'll let you know going forward, team. Let us go and look into the editors in Java. For designing Java programming and for editing, we are using different editors. So in our training session, we will go and look into how to work with Eclipse. Eclipse is a freeware, team. You can easily go ahead and download it and you can go and start working on it. And the very next editor that you can look into is the NetBeans, etc. Okay, you can also work with IntelliJ as well, which is Java, which is an Java editor as well, but it requires some of the license, team. Okay, and these Eclipse and NetBeans are the freeware. Now for working with Selenium perspective, we are using Eclipse as an editor. Okay, so let us go and look into some of the key points before using Java. Java is a case sensitive language. Case sensitive in the sense you have to go and type the command as it is. Okay, you should not go and type the lowercase or uppercase characters, because Java code is a case sensitive language. Okay, team, and naming conventions are mandatory when we are going to work with Java. That you will come to know why we are going with the naming conventions and all this, because when we go and create a class, okay, we have to go and provide some name. And going forward, let us say if I go and provide some sample 1, sample 2, sample 3, sample 4, XXS, and then later on going forward it will be something around sample to 50. So if I want to go and look into some particular code, if there is no name, if I go and specify only sample 4 or sample 5, obviously I might be confusing. I have to go and look into all these examples, right, team? So that is where the naming conventions are mandatory over here. Now let us go and look into what is the package, class, and a method. Okay, all the characters in the package should be in the lowercase. Okay, so over here when we are going to declare a package, all the characters over there in the package should be in the lowercase. And the example you can see package 1. Okay, what is a package, team? Over here in the package is nothing but we are going to interact with the code. Let us say I do have a code snippet over there in one class and I want to reuse that code in another class. So obviously we have to go and import a package so that this code snippet is going to be helpful for us. I'll let you know, team, going forward. Okay, once we are into the Eclipse tool, you will come to know what is what. Okay, but as of now, let us go and say that we are going to declare a package in this way. Okay, in lowercase characters. Then coming to the class, what is the class? First character of the class name should be in the uppercase. If we have multiple words in a class name, the first character of every word should be in the uppercase. So if you go and look into the examples, team, the very first character, that is A, B, C, D, E, F, here the very first character is A, and if you go and see class 1, 2, 3, C is in uppercase, O is in uppercase, and T is in uppercase, right, team? So this is how we are going to declare a class. Okay, and coming to the method, the first character of the method name should be small, and if you have multiple words in the method name, the first character of every word should be in uppercase. That is, the first character should be, the first word should be in lowercase, followed by the second word's first character should be in uppercase. So now, what is a method, team? Method is nothing but a function wherein we are going to put some set of logic over there. And what is a class, team? Class is one wherein we are going to have a group of variables, also a group of methods. Okay, team? Fine, let us go and see how to configure Java with Eclipse. Make sure Java is installed in your system. How you are going to make sure that Java is installed in your system, team? Let us go and look into it. Let us go to my C drive, go to my program files, and you need to go and look into the Java. C drive, program files, you need to see whether Java is over there or not. Yes, I do have JRE6 and JRE7 JDK as well. So this is what we are going to confirming that we do have Java that is going to be support to our Eclipse tool. Then what is that we are going to look? We should have an Eclipse tool to be downloaded. then you need to create a folder over there in your project, or for your project, or you want to store the code over there. Whatever the code you are going to design over there in the Eclipse tool, you have to store it in somewhere, right team, basically. So what we gonna do, we are going to create a folder and we are going to specify the path. Fine. If I go and see in the desktop, I do have Selenium. So over here, where is it? Fine. So basically we'll be having an icon team. Okay, we'll be having an icon for Eclipse. So you can go and see this is how the icon looks like, Java EE Eclipse. So once you double click on it, obviously you can find it. Okay, you can go and open the Eclipse tool. Okay team, then once you open the Eclipse tool, let us go and see the Eclipse tool as well. Okay, so this is my Eclipse tool. I do have a file, edit, navigate, search, project, run, window, help, and all this. I do have some of the commands as well, shortcut keys as well. Okay, and I do have project explorer. Now over here, say this is the editor team. Okay, this one is the editor. This is the project hierarchy, wherein I can go and see what are all the methods, what are the projects, what are the packages, or what are the library jar files which I am going to involve in executing the code. I can go and look it over here. Okay, fine. Now let us go and see some of the basic code. Okay, let me go and create a project. Go to file, go to new, go to others, click on Java project. Now what I do, I'll go and say core Java. Okay, my project name is core Java. Now you are not going to change anything over here team, and you are going to click on finish. Now it is going to create a folder over there. Where is this folder? Where is this folder created team? Basically, if you go and see, let me go and close all this. In my desktop, see, it is going to create a core Java folder, and when you go and click on this folder, it is going to show you some of the settings, bin and src, and what are the code I am going to design, it will be there in our source folder, that is src folder. Okay team, let us go and see. Now in this, if you go and click on this arrow team, okay, on the project, see, basically this is the project. What is the project name? The project name is core Java, which I have created. Now when I go and create a core Java project team, it is automatically gonna be linked up with the JRE system library files. What is this JRE system library files? These are Java related files team, Java supporting files. So for some of the commands, we don't have to go and write any code. Okay, there are some inbuilt commands wherein we can go and easily utilize it for reusability activity. Okay, so over here, this we can go and use it as well. So some of the commands that let us say output statements. For output statement command, okay, we do have the code snippet which is available over there. We do have that method which is available over there in JRE system library as well. Okay team, now over here I am going to create a package. Right click on the project which you have created, go to new, now go to package. You need to name the package. See, in the real time scenarios team, how you are going to provide the package name is com. Com is the prefix which you are going to use it over there, and you need to provide the package name. Let us say my package name will be something called as, let us say, core Java. Okay, and I'm going to hit on finish. Now here is my package name which I have created. Now again I need to create a class. Right click on this package, go to new, you can see a class. I'm going to click on class over here. Now just name this class name. Let us say then the class name will be, let us say, sample. I'm going to name it as sample, and make sure that you are going to check this checkbox, that is public static void main string args, and then you are going to click on finish button. That's it. Now your class has been created. Now it's going to display you this. Now let me go and increase the font size. Okay, font size is very small. Let me go and increase the font size. Go to Windows, Preferences, type font, enter, go to basics, text font, edit, say bold, 18, okay, apply, okay, fine. So this is a good UI that I can see it as well, right team? Okay, so now say once I have created a class, so what is that? You can see team, a package has been created. What is my package that I have created team? It is com.core java. That is what is going to show me in the very first line. Where is the line numbers? If I want to see the line numbers, right click on this blue line, show line numbers. Now you can see the line numbers as well. Okay team. Now in the third line, what is that? It is going to specify public class sample. Okay, that is, what is this public? Public is nothing but the access modifier team. Okay, and public itself says that it is available for all the classes. We can go and utilize it for anything, for any class. We can go and call this class in any class as well. Okay, so this is called as an access modifier. So public class, what is the class name team that I have created? That is sample, right? So that is what it's going to say. And then what I did team, I have checked the checkbox, that is public static void main string args. What is this public static void main team? This is nothing but a method. Okay, what is this public? Public is nothing but an access modifier. What is the static? Static is a keyword wherein we are going to use to go and provide access for this method. So whatever the methods that we are going to use, we can go and utilize it over here as well. Then void is nothing but it returns the value as null. And the method name is main method, and with some arguments. What are the arguments? Those are nothing but the string arguments team. Now let us say I want to go and work with it. Okay, so let us go with an output statement. We do have two output statements team in our core Java. We are using to get the output from the program. Okay, so we are using two output statements in Java. What are they? System.out.print and system.out.println. Now what is the difference between system.out.print and println? Let us go and see. System.out.print says we are using this statement to get the output in a single line. Okay, system.out.print is going to show me the output is a single line. When I say system.out.println, we are using this to send the output in a separate line. Let us go and see team. Over here, this is the tool. I will say syso. You need to type the keyword shortcut keys team. Okay, you need to type syso and then hit on control plus space bar. When you hit on control plus space bar, you can see system.out.println, right team? Now if I go and put a quotations, open the quotations and say this is Selenium training. Okay team, I'm going to say this is Selenium training as well. I think the font size is small or what? Okay, I'll do one thing team. Let me go and reduce the font size, okay, a bit. Let us make it to something called a 16. Okay, apply. Okay, fine. Yep. Now I can see system.out.println and I provided a text. What are the text that I want to display it over there? I will go and put them in a double quotations. Okay team. Now I'm going to save it. Now I'm going to run it. How can you run it team? You do have a run option over here, run as. Either you can do this or else you can go and right click on this editor, go to run as, and you can run with the Java application. Click on Java application as well, or else you can go over here, you can click on this run, or else with the shortcut key you can say control F11. Let us say control F11. I am going to run control F11 and it will ask me whether to run on server, or if the server is installed, then obviously you will go and see these options, but basically by default you can see Java application. Okay team, now you are going to select it and Java application, and then you are going to click on OK. Now once it runs, what is the result is going to show me? See, this is the console output team. So what is this console? Console is the one which is going to show me the output statements. Okay, which is going to show me the output statement. Now you can see in the output statement, you can see this is Selenium training has been displayed. Okay, so this is how we are going to execute. This is what the output statement. Now what is the output statement that we utilize? System.out.println, right team? When I say system.out.println, what is this println says? We are using this to send the output in a separate line. Let us say I like to have another output statement. I will say hello world. Okay, and I am going to save it. I am going to run it now. You can see team, this is Selenium training and hello world. So how is this lines displayed? In separate line. That is ln is nothing but it is going to start a new line over here. Now when I go and look into this output statement stream, what is that? We do have system.out.println as well as system.out.print. Now when it comes to print, what is this system.out.print says? We are using this statement to get the output in a single line. Now let me go and try it. I'm going to use the same output. Okay team, let me go and paste it over here, and I'm going to remove this ln. Now then I'm going to save it and I'm going to run it. You can see with this print, what is that is going to show me. Let me go and break it over here. System.out.println. Fine, I'm going to save it, I'm going to run it now. Let's go and see team. So what is that is going to display team? This is Selenium training, hello world, and also stars, because the line is not breaking over here in between. That is the reason it's going to show me the entire line. It's going to combine all the lines, it's going to show me the result. But over here when it comes, it's going to show me in a new line, right team? Because here the line is start, after this, after it is going to print this, is going to break the line over here with this println, so that this text is going to be displayed in a new line. Again it is going to break the line. Going forward, this is going to be displayed over there in the next line as well. Clear team? So this is how the difference between a print and a println statement. And in the real time scenarios, we'll be working with the println only team. We are no more working with the print statement. Okay, fine.